Yes, we are back. It is a quarter to till. Quarter to 7 p.m. I'm sorry, here on a Friday night. It was kind of a beautiful day today. Really wasn't. Not too hot, but warm. Really nice day outside. Nice day for my country with Scott Cannon here on WLTH 1370 AM. That's 92.7 in FM dial. We've just finished talking about Ron DeSantis' misadventures down in Florida and a lot of black conservatives who have actually sacked up and decided to challenge him. I'm not 100% convinced that their motives are 100% pure and not political, but still good for them. You know, good for them. But another issue that is affecting us politically in this country, and especially being as we are going to have two men running for president who are well over 70 years old. Well over 70 years old. Our current president, Joe Biden, is 81 years old, I believe. And Donald Trump is 76 years old. I'm sorry, 77 years old. So there's a lot of people who are questioning now, especially in the last week, because we've just had two incidents that we're going to get into that have made people question exactly how old is too old to be a public official. And do we have a gerontocracy? You know, I mean, look, I love our elders. We have to love and support our elders. But there is a point in which the next generation has to be allowed to take over and lead politically. And so, you know, a gerontocracy is a place where the exceptionally old political class rules a country or a municipality. The 118th Congress that we have now is the third oldest since 1789. Wow. The average age of the 118th Congress is 58 years old, a year younger than the 117th Congress. So the second oldest was this one, right? The last one. Comparatively, the median age of Americans, according to the most recent census data, is 38 years old. The average age of members of Congress has continued to grow older as current members of Congress are serving longer terms in the old age. But the 2022 elections brought the average age down just a tad, with the average age of the newly elected Congress people being 47. I mean, they're practically teenagers. The end of the 117th Congress also meant the departure of some of the older congressional members, including 82-year-old Patrick Leahy and 87-year-old Eddie Johnson. At the end of his 8th term representing Iowa in the U.S. Senate, the newly re-elected Chuck Grassley will be 95 years old. 95. At the end of his next term. At the end of this term, I'm sorry. Then the Speaker of the House, well, the former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi is 82. Mitch McConnell is 81, I'm sorry. Nearly a quarter of Congress is over 70 years old. That is the highest it has ever been. So how did it get like this? How did this happen? This trend started about 30 years ago. When a lot of the people who were elected started staying in office longer because they were allowed to redistrict, and because the money that has flushed into politics, and this is what we talk about a lot on this show. We talk about money in politics a lot on this show, and that's why our Congress is getting older. Now, this may be shocking to a lot of people, but on the Democratic side of the House, it's way more of an issue than even the Republican side of the House. On the Democratic side of the House, they reward seniority. Campaign finances and the billion-dollar elections that we have made such an impact. So if you're an older member of Congress, you're able to get more money. You're able to shore up more money and sort of fend off your primary challengers and hold on to your seats longer than younger members who don't have as many financial connections. And also you see people like Nancy Pelosi, Dianne Feinstein, James Clyburn. These people don't have to debate. They're not being forced to debate. So they're just getting reelected, taking in more money, getting reelected, taking in more money, selling out to Wall Street, selling out to Big Pharma, selling out to the insurance companies, selling out to the military-industrial complex, rinse, repeat. So we just had a redistricting cycle. And many times when you have redistricting cycles, members are forced into primaries. And what we found is that the older members are more likely to survive because they have more money. They have more money. They are more entrenched with the deep pockets. Like I said, the Republican Party, usually, most people think the Republican Party is older than the Democratic Party. That is not the case. The Democratic Party actually has a lot of older lawmakers currently in office. So, the Republicans have term limits on committee leaderships and committee chairships. This is a big part of that reason. The Democrats, because like I said, they value seniority, they give people who've been around these senior positions. And there's a huge incentive to stick around if you're a Democrat. Also, and this is another way that, we just talked about it in the last segment of how the black community has been colonized, or should I say the civil rights movement has been colonized. Our civil rights struggle has been colonized. With one of the ways they also sort of deflect criticism. And this is a big part of the way that Democratic liberals deflect criticism. They take minority communities and give them a chance to attain power and be sort of a token like James Clyburn and people like that. You see how, I mean, Kamala Harris isn't old, but, she's a token. And so you'll see a lot of these older members who are in places like the Congressional Black Congress and the Congressional Hispanic Congress. And so that's where the strongest support of seniority-based legislation is. And so this again is how we end up with a black misleadership class. I talk about it very often here on this show. The black community has a unique set of politics. We do, as a community. We have unique politics. We are not liberal. We are not conservative. We are black. We're the most religious group of people in America, but technically we vote the most liberal. White religious people vote the most conservative. So our politics are very unique. And so we end up in this situation because we as black people end up being dependent on white liberals in the media who control the media, CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, everything but Fox News and like Newsmax, the sort of right-wing Republican, Wall Street Journal, those types of things. That's where conservatives control, but everything else is controlled by liberals. So if you are black and you want a cushy job in the media, you want a cushy job in politics, you're going to have to bend the knee. And often that means allowing the Lugga Booga Tugga community to latch on to the black community. That means allowing illegal immigrants. That's why you see so many black politicians out there marching with illegal immigrants. Dude, your neighborhood is a legit war zone. What are you doing at the border? I'm not going to say no names, but we have politicians here in this city who are down at the border. Meanwhile, 4 and 5 people just dying in the streets of Gary. What are you doing at the border? What are you doing down there? You were needed in the city of Gary. Or East Chicago, or Hammond, or whatever. It could be anywhere. But we have to allow ourselves to be leached off of by other groups, because, again, the people who run the media, the people who run academia, the people who have the power in the nonprofit world, which, again, look, I'm in the nonprofit world. Okay, I work with the United Urban Network. I know I know a lot of some of these people. Okay, you're gonna have to toe the line on a lot of this stuff. That's just the way the world works. That's just the way the world works. And so a lot of times we end up with these leaders who are picked by the media class, the liberal media class. That's how you end up with Black Lives Matter and their very overt Lugga Booga Tugga agenda, and saying things like they want to what they say, they wanted to dismantle the nuclear family. They want to dismantle the nuclear family. That's what they said. It was on their website until people were outraged and they took it down. And that's how we end up with the gay dude in the vest, who somehow became the next Martin Luther King in spite of the fact nobody asked for him. I played the clip of Darren Shields from Ferguson, Missouri, who knew Michael Brown, who was murdered by the police officer, Darren Wilson. He said, look, Black Lives Matter came down here. They didn't do anything for us. They literally just came and took pictures and tweeted. And they took it right. That's what they were doing. We were the ones doing all the work. We were the ones out there getting pepper sprayed and beat up by the police. Not them, but the media put them out front. And the media and the establishment pushes people like James Clyburn and Kamala Harris and Barack Obama. And they say these people represent the black community. Barack Obama lectures us about feeding our kids fried chicken for breakfast or something. Kamala Harris, talks about how she smoked weed and listened to Snoop Dogg, but then helped keep thousands of black people in prison in California who shouldn't even been in prison. This is how we end up with a black misleadership class, because these people stay entrenched in power forever. They stay entrenched, and anybody who tries to challenge them, they will bring you to your knees. They will. They have the money and they have the power. I will never forget watching AOC, who is supposed to be our generation's fighter. Like AOC is supposed to be our generation's fighter, being brought to tears by Nancy Pelosi, literally sobbing on the floor of Congress. I don't know what Nancy Pelosi said to that woman, but she fell in line after that. And you ain't heard this woman say anything remotely critical of Nancy Pelosi, really, or the Democratic Party ever since. That is the danger. Now, a lot of this is being brought about because I mean, this isn't funny, but last week Mitch McConnell was actually giving a speech, and it looked like the man was having a stroke or some sort of seizure or something. This happened. Here we go. He was speaking.
Cooperation and a string of
He just stops talking. He just stares off into space and stops talking. And everybody just leaves him alone. He's literally just staring into space. Oh my God. Okay, now they're starting to.
Do you want to say anything else to the press?
Now he can't speak. And so they have to escort this man from the podium because he cannot finish giving whatever statement that he's trying to give. And then the next day they trot him out there and he has to pretend that nothing happened.
well, the president called to check on me. I told him I got sandbagged.
Oh, nice. How are you feeling now, sir? How are you feeling now?
I'm fine.
Have you seen a doctor? Are you going to see
Any
a
idea
doctor?
what happened?
Huh?
Any idea what happened?
I'm fine. That's the important
Dehydrated?
part.
See, and of course, none of these people ever feel like they are accountable to us in any way. She asked him very specific questions. Did you go see a doctor? And he just says, I'm fine. Our entire democracy is in the hands of people who are statistically likely to die very soon. And that's no disrespect to, like I said, to any seniors. I love all my senior folks, okay? We honor you. We should honor you. You know, you deserve all the respect you get. But you are in a dangerous position when your country is dependent on people who are not in complete control of their faculties. Now, just last week we had Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein from California. She was coming to vote, and she literally didn't know what she was doing and had to be told what to do by her staff. This is just out and out scary.
Senator Feinstein.
She's just supposed to vote here. That's it.
Say aye. Pardon me?
Aye.
Yeah.
Just say
I would like to support a yes vote on this. It provides $823 billion. That's an increase of $26 billion for the Department of Defense. And it funds priorities submitted.
yeah, just say aye.
Okay, just
Great.
aye.
Thank you.
So that's actually her handler or assistant who's again talking to one of the most powerful people on the planet, a member of the United States Senate, having to remind her, just say aye. You're not supposed to be giving a speech here. You know, this is dangerous. This is a very dangerous predicament that we are in right now. These people aren't held accountable ever. They're never allowed to debate. We never get any answers from them. It's just, hey, it is what it is. Well, all right, folks. Got to take my second break here on Issues and Answers Friday, My Country with Scott Cannon. But when I get back, we're going to lighten the mood a little bit with the Happy Happies.